So, yeah, Susan, I didn't recognize Michael's voice on that recording either. Until he said it's some kind of statement that he makes now, and he said it, and I was like, oh, that's Michael. So that's funny. Anyway, welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Monday, April the 26th, 2021, and our calling number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And I'll go ahead and open up the microphone for 805. You're on the air. Who do we have? Area code 805. Your microphone's open, 805. Who do we have? Well, maybe they'll call back in. So while we're waiting on Michael to dial in, I'll just invite you to go to the website, whyagain.org. Click on the Start Here or the Bullseye. They both take you to the same place, and you'll find all the tools for getting started, or even if you're familiar with the work, on where to go to the next level, and download worksheets, audios, videos, lots of things out there. Put the tools to work in your life, and you'll see a change. Michael will probably talk more about it when he gets on, but I'll go ahead and say that Michael had done many lessons, but there were 48 A Course in Miracles lessons that he did several years ago, and they've been remastered into MP3s, and he sent several people a link to listen to tape number 47, and I think that's what Susan and Tim were talking about when I first came on, and I didn't recognize Michael's voice in it either at the beginning, so but we are going to make those available in our catalog. Michael, since you're with us now, I'll go ahead and let you make the announcement on that, unless you want me to continue.
Okay. No, it doesn't matter. I thought it was hilarious that Jean and I listened to about a half the other night, and she didn't even know it was me. I kept commenting. I was quite impressed. I kept saying, this guy's really good. And I just assumed she knew that it was me. And it wasn't until the next morning when she heard it playing and heard me say a phrase that I say often. She goes, oh, my God, that's Michael. So anyway, that was fun. Anyway, it was not in the line of the Course in Miracles series that it's from, but it was one that I did for a Course in Miracles group, and it was inspired by a film that I watched, and so it was a little bit off topic from the normal Course in Miracles topics that I did on that in that series, and it goes back. I'm not sure exactly what year, but I think 1984 or so 30-some years, and so it was. The next morning that Jenny recognized it was me here. I had this little squeaky voice. And I was just this kid doing stuff. I started doing this stuff when I was 4, you know. Anyway, so Jeannie's going to put that, she's got to do some conversion on it, and she's going to put it up as a free download for anybody who's listening to the radio show. And it'll be up there for 2 weeks, just kind of as a gift to radio show listeners. So you're welcome to watch the notes. It'll be a little bit after the show completes because she's got some work to do on it. And it's part of a 48-tape Course in Miracles series that I carried back when we had cassette tapes, and we just never had it converted to put it on CDs or to do digital downloads. And thank you, Doug Bingley, for your support and assistance on that, because Doug converted it to streaming, digital form where we could stream it. We're not, at least at this point, going to make it available on CD, but the catalog is going to be available for streaming. And it's 48 two-hour Course in Miracles lessons that I did back, approximately 40 years ago. And that was really a lot of the foundation, a lot of the root work that led to, what we now have as the body of why work. And that series will be available to stream for purchase. And when we sold the cassettes, they were $10 each. We're going to cut the price in half. So for streaming service, they'll be $5 each. And you can buy them, or pardon me, if you buy them in a full package, they'll be $5 each. That'll be all 48 tapes. Will be $240. If you want to buy them individually, they'll be $7. And or if you want to buy them, with us not being on the road, it has impacted our cash flow, and so we're hoping this is going to support cash flow growing. And so if you want to pick them up before the expiration date of this free one that Jeannie's, or sample one that Jeannie's putting on the website, you can buy a pre-purchase special and buy all 48 CDs or 48 two-hour lectures. They're not, as I say, all on the course. There's one that, in fact, you may remember Vernie talking about it on the shows back around 9/11, because or at least we talked about the fact that she called me a few days after 9/11, and there was one CD or one tape in there that was called Pyramid Prophecy. And again, it was done 1980s, so 9/11 was just a few years later. And I mentioned the date, that the final date that shows up in the pyramid is September 17th, 2001. So 6 days after 9/11. And I had forgotten that piece of information, but Bernie called me and said, "Hey, Michael, do you realize what you said back in that pyramid prophecy back 25 years ago or whatever it was?" So anyway, there are a couple of other ones like this one that Jean's going to put out as a sampler, but most of them are Course in Miracles and the work that I did in Fort Lauderdale and Delray Beach back many years ago. And we've actually got, I don't know, probably another 200 or so that I've never published. And I don't even know if the tapes are good anymore, but if this goes over well, we'll probably go back and publish what we can of the others too. So we'll see how it all unfolds. But anyway, it was a fun lecture. I was blown, and somebody called me on using the words blown away. I mean, I listened to it and I was just like, wow, that is good stuff. Jeannie, did you hear that? This guy's really good. Anyway, it was fun. So that's what's happening here in Why Is This Happening to Me Again land. I'm outside getting my daily dose of sunshine today. We've got a beautiful day here. It's about 70 degrees, bright blue skies, bright sunshine. The apple trees are growing. The dogwoods are out. Gorgeous. And we're honored and delighted that you're here with us to be part of this conversation as we move forward and recognizing the two-pronged process, one, that of cultivating relationship with love, and two, that of forgiving or removing the blocks to the awareness of that presence, the things that we unconsciously use to keep us unaware that simply awesome presence of love is always there to flush and wash through us and open deeper and deeper spaces. So the forgiveness tool being one half of the project, and the cultivation of the presence of love, dropping the mind, being out of your mind, and waking up to the truth of who you are, who each of us is, each and every one of us. When we talk about evil and all that, no. Universe is based in love. The only people who have, it's kind of like when people talk about evil as some sort of a positive thing, there's this evil, and it's like, well, let's see. Has anybody got a flash dart? People go, what do you mean a flash dart? Well, you push the button on it and it puts out all the light. Well, no, don't be so silly. Well, why don't you have a flash dart? Well, darkness is an absence of light. That's all. You bring light in, darkness disappears. Well, in my experience, I don't care what evil people are stuck in. I don't care what hate, rage, fear. I can remember, just so many times, deep stuff. One that comes to mind right now, this goes back to the early days of the work, and there was a fellow who was a Vietnam vet, and he became a drug addict while he was over there, and he was on patrol one night guarding the camp, and a reconnaissance flight came in, and he was so drugged out, he just saw an airplane and shot it down. It was all his own men, his own troop. You want to talk about darkness taking over a mind. But when light comes forward, the darkness dissipates. When the active presence, and I don't mean the "I love you" kind of love. It's got nothing to do with love. But rather, when truly love is active and present, it dissolves, it dissipates the darkness. And so that's the core of the work about doing here with each other, and delighted that you're part of it. And Jeannie, we did some more. She breathed me for a couple of hours, and then I breathed her for a couple of hours last night. And she got another really nice piece of the puzzle to share with you. Jeannie, you maybe want to share the fifth measure?
My fifth measure is incarnation. So it was, bringing in, incarnating our being, who we really are, into this structure that we call a body, and living as the active presence of love. So it was, I was breathing along, and the word just came, and I was like, what's incarnate mean? And Michael was telling me, and I said, well, that's the fifth measure. So that's pretty cool. It was a powerful session. I think we both...
It was very powerful.
Michael, you actually had, in your breath session, had tapped into when you were a child. And later I asked you, was that the point where you incarnated?
That was... talk about synchronicity. Jeannie had breathed me in the afternoon, yesterday afternoon. I breathed her last night. And I went back to a time as a kid in the church, and a time of really deep, deep, deep commitment and devotion. I don't know, I might have been 7 or 8, and the energy of that and the realization that came to me was that's when I really came into my body, that ceremony had supported me and drawn me into my body. And so that was the point of my incarnation. And then I had no conversation like that with Jeannie. I told her about that experience, that memory, and how deep it was, and the realization that was the thing that pulled me into my own form. And, a lot of people, beings, my thesis is they don't enter their own forms because there's just too much pain and trauma there. Kind of like the line from the song about Vincent van Gogh, the line that says, "This world was never meant for one as beautiful as you." And, the truth is that's what we all are. We are that beauty. And yes, the world was meant for us. And the insanity has become so tricky and taken it over that people hate and kill for what they call love. And it's just been, it's a trick, it's the trickster. And so it was interesting that Jeannie's session, she just popped right into it, and it was like, oh, incarnation. And she was really into breathing, so she couldn't even recall what the word meant. It's like, Michael, what's the word incarnation? It's like, us. Come into your body, sweetie. Welcome. Glad you're here. So pretty amazing, pretty profound. And we're here to support the incarnation of every mind, heart, and being on the planet into their forms and experiencing who we are as human beings. So I heard there was conversation. I didn't hear the conversation about that particular tape. So I'll look forward to hearing what the comments are what the comments were as we move forward. But it'll probably take, I don't know, an hour or so, Jeannie, for you to get that in the notes, so you can back to the notes in about an hour, and the link will be there. She's got to convert it and upload it. So that's there. And of course, we've got our whole DVD collection now on. There's actually one more that we've got to do, but we've got pretty much the whole DVD collection on streaming service. And again, they're half price. So if you look on the website, whyagain.org, over in the upper right side, you'll see just about the midpoint toward the top of the page, there's a link to MP4s, and that's where these the whole catalog is, and that's where these CDs will become available too. I guess they're not CDs or tapes anymore, whatever they are. Presentations on A Course in Miracles, or at least primarily Course in Miracles. I'm not even sure exactly how many of the 48, I don't know, there might be 3 or 4 that aren't specifically Course in Miracles, and this one isn't, but I bring the Course in Miracles into it quite a bit. But anyway, and we're on page 59 of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And if you like to get a copy of the book to read along with us, you can go to our website and download it free. It's not in print anymore, so we don't have copies for sale, although you can go to Amazon or eBay, and there's usually several copies of the book available. So page 59, we're talking about ancient wisdom, and we're looking at some of the most ancient wisdom on the planet. I remember I was introduced to a rabbi in South Florida, and one of his people asked if I could come and present at their Saturday evening service. And so he invited me to his home and sat down and served me a cup of tea, and we started to talk. And when I said everything they would do is based in the Aramaic, he's like, okay, you're on. Well, that was easy. He says, all of our wisdom keepers spoke Aramaic. That's where the wisdom is. And so that was pretty cool. So we're looking at the Aramaic concept of forgiveness in our conversation with Richard. And we've gone through looking at the idea that he thinks of forgiveness as a religious idea, and he's got this big, taboo about religion because of all the hypocrisy and abuse that he saw in his religious upbringing. And so we're kind of getting past that block in his mind and getting him to realize that forgiveness, yes, the religions talk about it, but it's not a religious idea. It's physics, it's physiology, it's psychology. If you don't have forgiveness, you can't clean up your own energy field. It's just not possible. And the insanity continues. And the power person dynamic continues. And I challenge, I would love to find anybody outside of the Aramaic forgiveness process in this work that's cleaned up their power, has truly cleaned up their power person dynamics. That is, when the stress is up and the chips are down, that they don't default to whatever the power person dynamic is, or deny that they have a power person dynamic. I haven't met anybody on the planet yet that doesn't have a power person dynamic. So it's the forgiveness process is so urgent to that cleanup. So I'm offering to Richard, in Aramaic, forgive means to cancel. The minute you loosen your grip on the need for them to be perfect, in effect, you canceled the need for that perfection. So he's looking at some insights that he gets that, where he's realizing that his parents have the right to be human and therefore make mistakes. And he's realizing he expected too much of them. And I'm pointing out that in doing that, where previously he'd expected perfection from them, now it's acceptable that they're less than perfect. In essence, what he did was, and sometimes people slip into it kind of accidentally or unconsciously, and they get the result of forgiveness. But a systematic understanding of exactly how to clean up the mind, a consistent, persistent tool to be used, I don't know where it exists on the planet except through the work of Yeshua 2,000 years ago and the Course in Miracles. It's in both places. So the minute you loosened your grip on the need for them to be perfect. And in fact, you canceled the need for that perfection, Richard. The result of that action is your quote-unquote parent file opened, and the abuse, pain, and resentment it contained began to release. This is true forgiveness in Aramaic. Certainly a radically different action than letting them off the hook. As the cloud over your perception of them lifted, a painful reality was in process of being forgiven, and you can now see them more realistically. And so if you go to the next page, page 60, we've got a diagram of that, and here's Richard with a file in his mind on parents, and the languaging there is with the release of the negativity, Richard's mind can now generate a more accurate image and realities about his parents, showing that the stored negativity that darkens the glass of perception is being released when you enter into forgiveness. So that's where we be going with all of this work. And Miss Jeannie, do we have anybody out there in the phone queue with a hand up? The sun is warm today, intense.
We do have a hand up. Area code 520. 520. You're on the air.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Jeannie. It's Audrey.
Hey there, young lady.
Hey there.
I
Welcome.
would like to share. Well, thank you. I would like to share a dream I had.
Tell us about it.
Okay. I live in a mobile home, and
Right.
in one of the bathrooms is a small RV shower. I've never
Right.
been in that. I've never been in it. Okay. In the dream,
Uh-huh.
I put the water on in that shower.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had forgotten. And then I remembered, I want to go take a bath. So I went into the shower. I went to the shower, and I had opened the door. But before I opened the door, the drain got stopped up, and all the water started backing up, so there was 6 foot of water. I opened the door, and all the water came out and engulfed my entire body. And I felt hot. My skin was hot. I was burning. I experienced the burning of my skin. Afterwards, I experienced just absolutely no burning at all. After that, I experienced that my body was lifeless, floating in the water. No movement at all. Immediately after that experience, I experienced a stillness. And I said, oh, I'm experiencing what it's like to not breathe. I'm not breathing. I don't hear myself breathe. Mm-hmm. After that, I had the realization, oh, I've experienced my physical death. I've experienced death. Immediately upon that experience, I was in another dimension, and I was happy because I said, oh, isn't that wonderful? I've experienced death, and there is no death. So I wanted to share that dream.
That's powerful.
That there is no death. It's almost like I had a near-death experience without dying. Because I experienced only life. And it is all a series of experiences to experience that there is life.
Powerful. That sounds like an awesome dream.
It was. It truly was.
Would you like some feedback on it?
I would welcome it.
Okay. So my take would be that the shower that was small and you hadn't used are the internal resources for healing that you haven't used in your life and are uncovering as you do your work. And when you uncovered it, there was a flood. If you remember the processing we did back just a few weeks ago, there was a pretty deep flood of some pretty old, burning, hot, painful stuff that almost knocked you out of doing your work. And then you stayed with it, and my take for the floating, water is oftentimes thought of as spirit, that you were able to move to a still point and were in the breath, which is in Ruka, at a still point where you don't need to breathe. That's still point breathing. And that's the place where the full, you go into high-speed processing, you just move through what doesn't belong. And my take would be that the death you experienced was the death of this non-being self, this fear and hostility-based self that, at some times has run your life and has beat you up. And it sounds like you've reached a new level of letting go of that and letting it be flushed out of you. That's awesome. That'd be my interpretation of it.
Thank you very much, and blessings.
Hey, that's awesome. Nice work. We want to touch the hem of your garment and join with you in that. And extend the energy to the whole community. That's what we're all in here for. That's what the work is about, making contact with that flow of breath through us that heals and cleanses. All right. To you too, dear heart. That's awesome. Very sweet. The lilt in your voice is so nice compared to the burdens you were unpacking, that you were flushing and washing out just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you really dealt with some really lifelong, heavy-duty stuff. And congratulations on getting your reward. It's awesome. All right. Well, Miss Jeannie, do we have anybody else in the phone queue or anybody with a hand up?
We do have another hand up. So it's area code 805. You're on there.
Yeah. Hi, this is George. It's been a while, Michael.
Young man, good to hear your voice.
Well, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'd like to say good, but I'm not. I'm in the hospital. This is the third time in 4 weeks, and it looks like I'm going to go on dialysis. And I had locked myself out of everything, and luckily Julie, I'd been in touch with her, and then I remembered your show, and it just shows me how, there's an order for everything. And I mean, I'm hurting, and I'm trying to be into self-pity. They revived me 2 or 3 times, and it's just been real hard. And I saw my mom on dialysis, and that's my fear. And I know that, like, I believe that we're loved, and the body, is only the vehicle, but I'm having real problems this time because I've had out-of-body experiences. I've had different things in the past, and they were so clear and precise and clean. It was like, yes. And this time, I'm lost in it. I'm just lost in it. And I don't know what to do with it. I want to say, well, that helps what I can. I want to say that I just want to move on with my life and accept the way it is. But that's not so easy.
Do you have any recall, George, of those interlude times when they had to resuscitate you as to what was going on? Do you have any experience to bring back from that?
You know what? I really don't. Nothing that I can say that happened, except I know it was really, the one time was so scary. I mean, if there was a heaven and a hell, I would have been in hell. It was that bad. And I don't know how long it lasted. But it just, I don't know. It would like, I'd be in the hospital 4 days, 5 days, go home and not remember nothing and be back in the hospital again for another 4 or 5 days. This time it's been 2 or 3 weeks. And they postponed. They did have me on dialysis, but it was only temporary. But it looks like I'm gonna go permanent. It depends on the numbers, and I almost feel like I'm giving up. And in regards to what had happened then, what I remember, no, not really. No.
So it sounds like when your physiology is going into breakdown, you're getting the opportunity to face some of the most difficult parts of your mind in your past. And my input would be that you take those parts that you were shown, and that's where you start doing worksheets. That's where you start in on the forgiveness process. If you were to categorize what quote unquote put you in hell, what was the energy? What was that about? And is it something that you're ready to start to engage in forgiveness with?
Yeah, I haven't looked at that. It's yeah. I mean, I've been trying to work on myself. I've been working on myself for a long time, and yeah, I mean, it's from when I had done worksheets and moved on to other things. I think back to the worksheets and need to get back to.
How long has it been since you've engaged in the worksheets?
I'd say a few years. I got involved in real involved in a course of love, a couple book studies, and went in that direction. And and then that was working, and until all this happened, and I mean, I was locked out of everything. I don't know what happened. And that's why I think with just the way it was with Julie, and then remembering you had a show, and she sent me the number, to me that was, whatever's supposed to happen, it's happening.
Yeah. Well, George, whenever I do, occasionally I go somewhere and speak where they do A Course in Miracles, or I'm invited to a Course in Miracles type conference. And one of the first things I do, you've seen me work on the board. I've usually got a 4x8 board. And one of the first things I'll write on the board in the largest letters possible. If I've got one of those 4x8 boards like I had at the intensive, I'll put in as large a set of letters as I can. Don't study A Course in Miracles. And people are kind of shocked. It's like, well, isn't this A Course in Miracles studies that we're here for? And when that question comes forward, I write beneath, don't study A Course in Miracles, learn forgiveness. You can do all the study of all the wonderful philosophies and all the psychologies and all the wonderful stuff in the world. But if you're not doing forgiveness, the study is a waste of time. It's kind of mental masturbation. It's not about studying. It's about doing the work, really, and digging in and doing the work.
It's definitely a hard thing. I'm sorry.
So my invitation would be to pick up the worksheets, and if you need support with them, if you have questions about them, we're here 5 days a week, and let's have a conversation and continue the conversation. And we'll support you. And if I were you, I'd dig them back out, and I'd start looking at some of the toughest issues you're looking at right now, and get down and start processing through them.
Well, as soon as I get out of here, and I don't know when that's going to be, I'll get home, because I know where I even know where I have the worksheets. So,
well, you don't have to wait. You've got your phone with you, right? Go to your app store on your phone and type in the words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. Heartland, all one word, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, Forgiveness. And you'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app. You can download that on your phone and do the worksheets right there on your phone, live. And you can save them. You can print them as a PDF and save them to your phone. And so you don't have to wait till you get home. I'd start today. I'd go in as soon as we finish this conversation and download the app and start working with it. I've seen.
So it's all about.
Think about. Say again.
It's all about my forgiveness of myself.
No, I would suggest you never forgive yourself or anybody else for anything. Remember that forgiveness is a tool with which you go inside yourself and remove the disease-producing energies that you hold. The hostilities, the fears, the rages, the guilts, the griefs, the pain, the drama, the trauma. So it's not about letting yourself off the hook, Trojan horse. Remember the idea of the Trojan horse. What's a Trojan horse? It's something that appears like a gift, but when you receive it, it destroys you. Greek forgiveness is a Trojan horse. It is not forgiveness at all. When we talk about letting somebody else or ourselves off the hook, we just stepped out of the realm of forgiveness, and we're now stuck in a fraud. But in Aramaic, remember, forgiveness is the tool with which you access the hidden parts of your own mind, your own disease-producing energies, and remove them. So it's the tool of removal. And that's what you want to be about doing. So let's say one of the words you used, I think, was scared or fear around what's happening. So that'd be maybe the first worksheet that I'd do, is to look at what was my fear about? Is my fear of dying? Is my fear of suffering? Is my fear of being in pain? What is it? Locate the goal. Remember, in Aramaic, the word forgive is shabag. It means to cancel. Cancel that goal, which collapses the pained perception and gives you access to the underlying hidden energy that's impacting your physiology. And as you start to move that, I think right now about a woman who was out in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and she didn't know anything about this work. And she had gone to her doctor, and her doctor ran blood tests. She wasn't old; she was a young woman. Ran blood tests and said, "We don't know why." Over a period of time, they did these blood tests. We don't know why. We have no idea, but you're dying. And sent her home to die. There was nothing they could do. A friend of hers, who was a student of ours, gave her a whole set of our DVDs. And she actually didn't do any forgiveness work. She didn't systematically sit down and put the pen to the paper. She was too weak. I don't remember exactly what the time frame was. Do you remember, Jeannie? It was a matter of weeks. And she's still alive, and she's back to the doctor, and it's like your blood numbers are changing. They're turning positive. We don't know why. We don't know what's happening. But she just literally sat in front of the TV or laid in front of the TV. She was incapacitated and just watched DVD after DVD after DVD of the different workshops. And she came out the other side, rock and roll. So as you start to address the dis-ease-producing energies, you can start to lighten the burden on your physiology, and physiology is going to begin to shift. So that'd be the space I'd hold for you, and then I'd invite you to stay. You know, one of the reasons for this show is because it's not an easy conversation to find anywhere in the world. The active process of forgiveness is, you know, to find support for it. You know, where do you go for that? And that's one of the reasons we do this show 5 days a week, so that anybody on the planet that's got an internet connection can keep in the conversation. And I suggest you start, you know, with every, I mean, if you're laying in bed just waiting to get out of there, I'd go back and start listening to the archives. I'd go back and look at the notes in the archives and look at the ones that are specifically are geared toward healing, and start listening, and then be with us every day. And any questions that come up, any support you need, call us. But listen, and build the brain cells and be in the conversation that's different than the one the world has to offer you. So that'd be my input.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. And I know that, people like Julie have always been there, and thank God she was there again for me. And I hope someday I can be there for her. Yeah.
Well, holding the space for you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Michael, and I definitely will work on opening up the site and get involved in it.
Yeah, Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness in your app store. That will give you the app to start to work with. And
okay.
And we'll be holding the space. You know, one of the signs, I don't know, have you got any edema going on in your body?
Oh, yeah. I have my arms are so big that it's impossible. It used to be in my legs. I have none in my legs now. Now it's my arms. Yeah, they're, and I mean, I had so much edema where I never knew this. I actually had the water just running out of the arm. I never saw that before, but that happened. But yeah, what did you ask?
Well, I don't know if Julie has shared with you that she bought a device called an Avicen, and it's one of the most amazing health upgrades on the planet. Jeannie's dad had edema mainly in his feet. I mean, his feet were like balloons. And when we got the Avicen, we started him on it, and we started working on his feet to move the edema out. And within, I don't know, when we first started with him, it probably took about, I don't even recall, Jeannie, do you? Maybe 8 or 10 weeks. And the edema was gone from his feet. He would do the Avicen twice a day, and he was able to maintain. Well, you know, he's 88 and has been a farmer all his life, so been out in the sun. So he pretty regularly goes to have skin cancers removed from the dermatologist. And we didn't think about it, but when he went in, he had 2 on the back of his hands, and they removed the 2 skin cancers, 1 from each hand. And when you use the Avicen, you put your hand in it. It's a non-invasive heat treatment. And because there's a vacuum involved, you can't put a hand with a sore on it in the machine. So for 9 days, he couldn't use the machine. And he was back to about 2/3 size balloons in his feet after just 9 days. For months he had been free of edema without us doing any work on his feet besides using the Avicen for an hour a day. And 9 days without it, and he was back to full-blown edema. Now, I don't know if it would impact that for you, but I know that's one of the signs of kidney failure. But you might want to look at, and if you'd like, I'll call you after the show and we can have a conversation about it. You might want to look at getting that device and starting to use it and see what happens for you.
Yeah, I'm sitting here now, and like the time frame is, the thing that I'm concerned about, because they could tell me tomorrow they want to put me on dialysis.
Well, Patrick from Heartland was on dialysis, and he was. He said that when he finished dialysis, and they were doing 3 days a week, for 24 hours, he felt like he had been somebody's punching bag. He was like he'd been seriously beat up. And literally the day he started using the Avicen, his recovery time from dialysis was about 2 hours, and all of that pain, all that feeling like he'd been beat up was gone. So, who knows what happens there, but it might be something to consider.
Yeah, it's a lot to consume right now, but yeah, I mean, at this point, I'd be willing to try anything, and Julie had talked to me at one time about that, but I don't remember what the conversation was, or it was a while ago. I just don't remember.
I'll call you after the show and have a conversation and see if it's appropriate to do something about that.
Okay.
All right, sir.
I appreciate that. Yes.
All right. Well, anything else we can support you with? Any other thoughts?
No, Julie always said, she'd help me get online and everything, because I'm kind of illiterate there, so I'm sure she will, and she's, her support's really important to me. And
awesome.
Yeah, she got me called today. I wasn't gonna. I thought, well, I'd listen, but I wouldn't talk. But yeah,
well, we're glad you said hello.
Glad I did. Thank you.
And we'll hold a space for you. There's a whole community of people all over the world right now that are thinking about George and sending the energy of love in your direction. And that's the master healer. So we're here to hold the space for your healing. And whatever you need to process, whatever you need to deal with to move that energy out, we're here to support and assist in that.
Thank you.
You are most welcome, and as Dr. Tim would say, deserving.
Blessings to you both.
All right. Lots of love and blessings to you, too.
Okay.
All right. Well, sending George all the support energy we can. One of the things they've proven in the research arena is there's this thing called non-locality. And in the actual world, it doesn't matter where you are. Time and space don't mean a whole lot when it comes to the transmission of energy. So when we hold that space of love for each other, it literally has an impact. So we're here to hold that space. And, of course, what we give to you, we get to receive. So, hey, we get the gift as well. So Well, Miss G, we're down to a few minutes. Do we have anybody else in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
No questions in the chat room, and there are no other hands up, but if someone presses 1, we have 9 minutes left. And we had a hand just go up. Area code 417. You're on the air, 417.
Well, good afternoon, Jeannie and Michael. This is Judy from Missouri.
Well, hello.
Well, hey there, young lady. Welcome. Good to hear your voice. How are you? What's exciting in your world?
Well, I'm good, and everything's exciting, and just doing my work and creating those new neurons, and I'm calling in particular to get your. I want you to text me your address. I have something I want to send to you all.
Okay, well, I'll do that when we get off the phone. And Judy, I thought you'd be finished with all the work you had to do by now. You've still got the world still giving you opportunities to learn forgiveness? Oh, my goodness. Judy, by the way,
I didn't know it was going to be a full-time job. I didn't know it was going to be a
full-time job.
Yeah, and it's so one other thing that I've added is to with my worksheets is to do something, to create doing something that changes. So at the end of the worksheet, to make a commitment to do something that changes.
Nice. Of course, that's the idea of step 7. Once you've set that new goal at the end of the worksheet on step 7, are you acting to carry out that goal?
Right.
Is that part of your routine? To whatever that goal is, you're actually taking action on it? Good, sweet.
Yes.
Nice.
And and that's probably to me, that is the most committed. I mean, it's a show of faith in that worksheet to make a commitment of some sort.
That's true.
And because I can't take something away and not put something back.
You got it. Leave a vacancy and fill it. Fill it with the active presence of love.
Right.
So important.
Right. And I just want to thank you all, Dr. Tim and Jeannie and you, and for all those who participate. I listen quite a bit. I'm quite a bit on the show listening, and you all are helping me along my path, and I'm holding the space of love for you all too. So appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it.
Everything y'all have done and what you're doing. I've never met anybody so dedicated as you all, and I'm just amazed. You just you don't slack at all. You just keep on going.
Well, it's interesting that, as time goes on, you talk about it being full-time, which has been full-time for me for almost 50 years. And Jeannie and I have been together for 17 plus. And she was doing her work before I ever met her as well. And it's kind of coming to the point where the energy's cranking up. We're in our second online intensive, and it's like now we're doing double time. It's not just full time; it's double time. So, and for anybody who doesn't know Judy, Judy is one of our early adopters. Judy was at Heartland the first summer we were there, and has been there many summers since. So we're delighted that you've been on our team, and I certainly appreciated that last trip to Heartland where Jeannie stayed here to take care of Dad and the baby, and I was out there closing up myself, and you took care of the food, and we're just such a giant help. Thank you.
That was my pleasure. I knew Jeannie had her hands full, and if I could step in and help a little bit, I was glad to do it.
You sure did.
So I know my part in it was to be there. It was just to be there and hold space of love while you went through what you had to go through there and what Jeannie had to go through at home with the family. So it was an honor and a pleasure. So just want you to know that. And
appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys keep on keeping on, and I will too.
It's on rock and roll. We're going.
All right.
We're just getting ready to crank
Love
up
y'all.
to the next level. All right. Take care. Kind of feels like the work has just begun, and getting ready to crank up to the next level all the way across the board. So, Miss Jeannie, any thoughts for you at this point to close out? We've just got a couple minutes.
No, I'm actually in the process of doing some editing on that tape 47 so we can get it on Vimeo, and then I can get the link put in the notes for everybody to download. So
sweet.
Kind of multitasking.
Okay. Well, it's an honor and a privilege to have so many voices raised in concert with us on amplifying this message of first century Aramaic forgiveness on a global scale, and moving, with the fact that we're now doing online intensives, it's like opening a whole new field rather than us physically traveling to different places. We stopped traveling about 2 years ago now, and so now we're into doing more online work, and we've actually got a 16-day, or pardon me, a 14-week. It is normally a 16-day residential, but a 14-week online Zoom intensive on Penance to Independence Communication Practicum. And right as we complete, it'll be about 2 weeks before it's fully available, but as we complete that course, it will be approximately 83, somewhere between 83 and 87, maybe 88 hours of video that will be permanently available for your own self-study. And radio show support, personal code evaluation, pre and post the intensive, and a really awesome food program that Urate put together, so that you've got support with fresh and raw menus for 14 weeks if you choose to shift your dietary regimen. That's all part of the intensive. And, of course, the radio show daily to answer questions. So you can do that totally as a self-study. That will become available shortly. And the cost for that self-study course will be $600. And that's permanent access to all 80, whatever number of hours we end up with. We're adding a couple of extra sessions. And then if you choose to, the next time we do that course online, you just pay the difference between the online course and the self-study course, and you upgrade. And in that next time we do it, we'll add another 28 hours of video or thereabouts, so that the course will grow for you from 84, 86 hours to that number of hours plus another 28. So we plan to keep growing it. And then once you've done the online course, then you'll be invited as a guest to every online course we do in the future, freely. So looking to expand the work and make it available. So delighted to be here to hold this space with you. Invite you to create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world, a gift the world needs. You have the capacity to create it. Let's join in doing that. Blessings. Bye-bye.